Okay, intro to Max. Um, the reason that we're working in Max is because it is a visual programming language, and I want you to be able to understand the components of everything that you are using in order to create sound. So, very quickly, everything about this set of early tutorials is just getting you familiar with what Max is and why we would use such a darn thing. Okay, so Max Console, Max Patcher. We get to a patcher when we open Max by hitting File, New, Patcher. It opened on a different monitor, so I'm going to pull that over here. The visual programming language of Max basically involves us creating patches and then stringing them together. This is super common in visual programming languages. I do a bit of 3D animation, and there are a bunch of processes that work this exact same way. So, what I want to do is I want to create objects that will facilitate me making sound. So, as we discussed previously, one of the most basic sounds available to us is a sine wave. The reason the sine wave is considered a good starting point is because it is just a digital noise that doesn't have any overtones, no harmonics. So, the way that Max works is that we have all of these different objects that we can place in our patch and combine them in various ways. The specific one that we want to use in order to create a sine wave is called a cycle. The reason that we use cycle is because cycles are what waves do in the air. So in this particular scenario, what we're doing is we're simply creating a cycle, and we are going to tell it what frequency we want it to cycle at, which is 440 hertz. 440 is a great place to start because it's the pitch A. Now, I could keep going over here to my object window and keep selecting objects to put on the Max Patcher, or I could hit N for new object and then type in the kinds of things that I'm looking for until it pops up. The specific thing that I want right now is gain, and one of the nice things about Max is that when I put in gain and I hit enter, it actually creates what is essentially a slider for me. You've probably seen faders in all of your audio programs. Well, they control output volume or output level. And in this case, Max calls that gain. I feel like most pro audio people separate gain from level because gain is input level versus output level, and in this case that's actually true here because this is technically output level, but I'll show you how you can in the future. I'll show you how this is more representative of input level, and therefore gain makes sense. Although I will say that this fader can be used for this same fader, if patched correctly, can be used for output level as well, so they're just using gain as sort of an interchangeable term. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to make is something called easy for easy digital audio converter, and there it is right there. And I hit go, and it basically creates a virtual speaker. So now I have my three components and I need to tie them together. So I tie the output of my oscillator to the input of my gain control, and then I take the left output of my fader and connect it to the left input of my speaker. I connect the right output of my fader and connect it to the right input of my speaker, and now I have this set up to go. The language for how Max works is that we want to lock By the way, we lock and unlock with Command E. We want to lock our patch so that it can then be used. And right now, it's going, but you can't hear it because the level isn't up. But the moment I turn up the level, it's there. So hopefully that was clear. That's our intro. We will build a whole bunch of stuff using this very basic principle.